Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Hello, my beautiful tri-state area. Welcome to our 181st episode. It's always such a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for listening and interacting with me all over social media. That truly makes it all worthwhile. Our handle is the same throughout. Please make sure to follow us at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. XEN. Also remember that all episodes of A Moment of Zen stream 24/7 on your home TV and Kathy Ireland worldwide, and you can always find us directly on our YouTube channel at Zen Sams. Up next in the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, we are featuring the Renaissance man himself, comedian, doctor, lecturer, Jeffrey Gurian. He is also a motivational speaker, and with his diverse background and expertise, he's even authored 8 books. He's going to join me today to chat all about the pursuit of happiness, healing your heart, and balancing all facets of your life. In the Discover Your Potential segment brought to you by Keep the Past, we're joined by our regular contributor, Anna Devere, and today she's joined by Kara Peterson, the co-founder of descrybe.ai, a justice tech startup based in Boston. They're going to join me today to chat all about how Describe AI is improving access to the law, working to close the justice gap, and the importance of using artificial intelligence technology responsibly. In the Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2Lift, we're taking you on one wild ride behind the scenes of New York Fashion Week at the Dennis Basso runway show. We're going to chat with 2 models, Ashley and Heather, and we're going to hear what they have to say about CO2Lift and how they incorporated it into their beauty routine to keep their skin looking flawless on that runway. In the Express Beautiful segment by Sari Katz, celebrity cosmetic injector and founder of Skin by Sari, is going to talk about the counterfeit Botox scene and the importance of going to a licensed professional with tons of reviews. Stay tuned for the Hydration with Heart segment with the hilarious Jeffrey Gurian, the Renaissance man himself. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com. Welcome back, my amazing tri-state area friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. In our Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Drink the Legend. Once Upon a Coconut, we're featuring Mr. Renaissance Man, Jeffrey Gurian. He's a doctor, a lecturer, and motivational speaker, but also a comedy writer, a performer and director, an author and producer, and a radio personality. What isn't he? He's not always in that order, though. As a former cosmetic dentist and a former clinical professor at New York University, he's one of the few doctors with a long-standing career in comedy, working with some of its biggest names. With his diverse background and expertise, he's authored 8 books, is a keynote speaker on the importance of mindset, and even developed a unique technique to migraine-type headaches and head, neck, shoulder, and facial pain called star therapy. He joins me today to chat all about the pursuit of happiness, healing your heart, and balancing all the facets of his career. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thank you so much, Zen. It takes one to know one. No one does more things than you.
Oh, we are kindred spirits. Let's dive right in.
Okay.
And first, let's chat about your achievements as a best-selling author, because I am so proud of you, my friend. You are the author of 8 books, the last 3 called Happiness series, which include Healing Your Heart by Changing Your Mind, Fight the Fear, and Facing Adversity. Could you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write the Happiness series, and what are some of the primary messages you look to convey?
Well, over the last few years, we've all been living with so much stress. And, it started with the pandemic. I myself, I was in the hospital with COVID double pneumonia. As you can tell, I'm a trendsetter, so I went right out and got it as soon as it was available. March of 2020, I'm in the hospital with COVID, double pneumonia. And since that time, the world has been really stressed out. And I felt that there was a need for people to learn to think differently. In my own life, what spurred me to do it, I was a very severe stutterer. And I started stuttering as a child, 6 or 7 years old. I stuttered through my 20s and beyond. And in order to cure myself, I realized that I was holding thoughts that were not valid for me. And many people, I would say probably everybody, are holding thoughts that are not valid for them. They're negative thoughts that affect the way we do things in our lives. And in order to achieve happiness, we need to release those thoughts. Very often, they're pains from childhood, and I call them heart wounds, wounds to your heart chakra. And that's why that first book was called Healing Your Heart by Changing Your Mind. You know how hard it is to get a dog to sit in lotus position? Almost impossible. Almost impossible. But I'm fascinated. In order to cure myself, I had to let go of thoughts that were not working for me. And that started my journey on learning that you can change your thoughts, that just because you have a thought doesn't make it real. It doesn't make it true. And we create all our thoughts, and our thoughts are not necessarily based on experience. They're based on our interpretation of our experience, which is the reason why you can have siblings that are completely different people. And if you ask them about their childhood, you'd think they had different parents. So I've always been fascinated by thought, and I out of my 8 books, 5 are on comedy, 1 with Chris Rock, but these last 3 are about happiness, mindset, and changing negative thinking to positive thinking, which I think is so important for people these days. And it's been resonating with people, and that's how they became bestsellers on Amazon.
Beautiful work. Interestingly, if you look at the statistics, according to the 2024 World Happiness Report, in which the US always ranks in the top 20 happiest countries in the world, and that's shocking to me, this year it has fallen to the 23rd spot, point proven, driven largely by those under 30 years old. And the US ranked in the top 10 for those over 60, but ranked 62nd for those under 30. We're all over the place. So, Jeffrey, as a happiness expert and a doctor with a focus in energy healing, how do you think happiness can be achieved in today's world, especially for this under 30 generation? And more importantly, can you tell me more about the technique you created called star therapy?
Sure. My advice to those under 30 is get off your phone. We're all looking down. Everybody's walking in the street like this. People are getting neck pains and all kinds of physical ailments from the technology. And as a person in the comedy world, I'll tell you that too many young people are offended too easily. You know, comedy is a healing force. One of the things that I love about comedy is that it brings the whole world together, people of all different backgrounds sitting in one room and laughing at the same things. And it used to be that way. And today, right now, at this moment, there are people at home waiting to be offended by something. And that changes your view of the world, and it leads to a lack of happiness. So, you know, I tell people to trust their intuition. If you're in a comedy club and you hear people telling jokes, you know when a person is coming from a place of love or a place of hate. You just have to use your intuition, that's all. As far as my STAR therapy is concerned, STAR is an acronym that stands for Spiritual, Transformational, Affirmative Resonance Therapy. The resonance stands for music because I do like a guided meditation. And I was doing this at NYU, by the way, for 12 years. If you walk into a university and tell them that you take away headaches with your hands, they'll probably call the police. But this is what I just lectured on July 18th in Minneapolis. I was the keynote speaker for the Academy of General...
All right, hold that thought. That's my next question. So, see, we're in sync. So now let's talk about your motivational speaking. So just this past July, like you mentioned, I read that you were a keynote speaker on the Minneapolis Convention Center, speaking exactly about what we're talking about, happiness. This is what you do best, and mindset, and changing negative thinking into positive thinking. And I know that currently, right now, you are in the middle, up until Sunday. It started yesterday on Friday at the Omega Institute for Holistic Studies to treat attendees to a spiritual weekend that you are calling Healing Your Heart with Humor, which is based on the success of your happiness series and work on mindset. So we've certainly all been through a lot in the past few years, to your point, regarding both physical and mental health. Tell us more about what the current attendees at the Omega Institute can expect from this weekend.
Well, first, it's a great honor to be asked to do a workshop at Omega, where Deepak Chopra, the late Dr. Wayne Dyer, and Marianne Williamson all speak, all leaders in consciousness. And the topic that they gave me, I didn't choose it, was called Healing Your Heart Through Humor, because they refer to me as the Doctor of Happiness, which is a nice title that I certainly don't mind having. The attendees are learning to think differently. It started yesterday, September 20th, running through Sunday afternoon. And I'm talking about all the things that I write about. How to, like, you can't change your past. The only thing you could change is your perspective of your past. So it's looking at the events in your life in a different way than you've looked at them before. And in doing so, to release the heart wounds that we start accumulating as children. Every time someone hurts your feelings or breaks a promise to you, breaks up with you in a relationship, lies to you, it stays lodged inside of us in our heart chakra, and it affects your self-esteem and self-confidence, and it affects every decision you make in your life. Every time you're called upon to make a decision, you think about what to do. And if your thoughts are not valid, your decisions aren't going to work out. So it's the reason why people see the same patterns, the same bad job over and over again, the same bad relationship over and over again. And the only common denominator is you. So I'm talking about how to change your thinking, how to physically, literally change your mind. That's why that first book was called Healing Your Heart by Changing Your Mind, which was what I had to do for myself. The other books are called Fight the Fear. We talk about fear. Fear is a bully that tells you you'll never be successful, that you can't achieve your goals. And I hate that. I had to conquer fear to do everything that I do in my life. Fear of speaking to people, fear of being on stage, fear of being a doctor, fear of being successful. And so I find that we're given obstacles to overcome in our lives so that we can help other people. That's the reason that we're given obstacles. Sometimes life feels very difficult and very stressful, but if you can draw on that inner strength, you can use that to help other people. And I think that's our goal.
Wow. You have one interesting and unique perspective on life, and this is why you do what you do, Mr. Happiness. Now, this all sounds so incredible. Everyone has to definitely head to eomega.org if you're not already attending this incredible workshop. Definitely head to eomega.org to register. There's a day left, but the event is incredible. Now, let's shift to the duality of your career. So aside from your healing and doctoral work, you're also this incredible comedian who has performed in every major comedy club in New York and LA. And you've even worked with and interviewed legendary stars from Rodney Dangerfield, Joan Rivers, and Andrew Dice Clay to Bill Burr, Jim Carrey, Nick Kroll, and John Mulaney. I mean, the list goes on and on. What influences your comedic style, and how has it evolved over the years?
I see the world in a different way. You know, comedians do that, and that's why people can relate. We look at things, everyday things that people take for granted, and we see the humor in them, because life is really funny if you look at it. You know, in 2015, I had a heart attack. They called it a widowmaker heart attack. Very serious. Came out of nowhere. I had never been sick a day in my life. I guess it was important that I wasn't still married because the widowmaker didn't kill me. But I was back on stage 5 days later. And the owner of the comedy club said to me, "What, are you crazy? You just had a heart attack." I was like, "Yeah, but it's hard to get a spot here. I didn't want to lose my spot." And I was joking with the surgeon on the operating table. I wasn't completely asleep, and I felt them unplugging my heart. And I said to him, "I feel you in my heart, not in a romantic way, but I feel you in my heart." And he came to my room later, and he said, "In all my years of surgery, no one has ever joked with me on the operating table before." And he gave me a hug, and he said to me, "You're a miracle." And I said, "You're the miracle. You're the guy that saved me." So it's all about perspective. It's how you look at things. My spiritual teaching has taught me that some days are going to be weird, but I have to understand that that's my path. No one ever promised me that my life is supposed to be perfect. When something doesn't go the way you would like it to, there's a tendency to think, why me? Why is this happening to me? Which I almost did when I had the COVID double pneumonia thing. But the spiritual answer is, why not me? Whoever promised me that my life is supposed to be perfect with nothing going wrong? It's egotistical to think that you're that special, that your life is supposed to be perfect. So it's a matter of how you think and how you process the events that are happening to you in your life. And that depends on how you handle them. And so I've tried to incorporate that into everything I do. When I was recovering from COVID, that's when I wrote my third happiness book called Facing Adversity, Stories of Courage and Inspiration. And they're true stories that I collected over a period of 20 years. I've always been fascinated by people that overcome tremendous obstacles. My stuttering was minor compared to the stories in this book. And I just wanted to turn a negative into a positive. So by staying home for months, I wrote this third book, and they all became bestsellers on Amazon.
Amazing. Now, you're not only clearly accomplished, but you also use your talents to give back to your community, which I think is incredibly important these days. I'm a huge advocate for social activism, whether that means hosting events for Mental Health Month or being on the
Mm-hmm.
board of LaughMD, whose mission is to bring comedy to people in hospitals and recovery centers and people dealing with grief and addiction and depression. Incredible. Can you share a personal philosophy or even a belief that guides both your comedy and your approach to happiness? And what role does mindfulness play in your daily life?
Those are such great questions. I could go on for an hour about each of them. Mindfulness is very important. So many people live in the past. They're thinking what they should have done, what they could have said. They're torturing themselves and they're losing the now. Our reality, Zen, is right now I'm talking to you. That's my whole life. That's everything that's going on. You and I are talking to each other, broadcasting to millions of people, trying to carry a positive message. I'm not thinking about what I have to do later or what I did this morning. I'm in the moment. When you were kind enough to mention the people that I worked with in comedy, that I wrote for Rodney and Joan Rivers and all, but when Nick Kroll and John Mulaney had their Broadway show, they had me open the show, and I wanted to mention this. They made me a special jacket, just like Curtis Lee was Guardian Angels, but mine says Gurian Angels.
Oh, I love it.
It's an exact replica of Curtis Lee was Guardian Angels. And I used to be his dentist, and he doesn't mind me saying that. He says it on the radio all the time. And I brought him to the show as a surprise. And he wore his Guardian Angels jacket, and I wore my Gurian Angels jacket. They didn't make me wear the beret in deference to my hair, which was very kind of them. But, I try to merge my careers and to spread positive energy. That's always been my goal, no matter what it is, whether I'm writing books or making people laugh or trying to take away pain from people. I mentioned that briefly, that STAR therapy, spiritual transformational affirmative resonance therapy. I got to do a guided meditation with Stephen Halpern, the father of New Age music. I use special music when I work. I was doing that at NYU for 12 years. They saw me taking away headaches because so many people don't know that from stress, they clench and grind their teeth. And they wake up in the morning with neck pain, and it affects more women than men. So I'm glad I have a moment to mention this. If you wake up in the morning and your neck hurts, the last person in the world you would think to tell would be your dentist. Why would you ever tell your dentist that your neck hurts? And so if they don't ask you, if that's not part of the medical history, it goes undiagnosed. And in this country, they say there's more than 150 million people who think they have migraine headaches that are really musculoskeletal headaches that are coming from overusing the jaw, from clenching and grinding, which is called bruxism. And that was my specialty at NYU, and that's what I lectured on, and so it's very easily treated with a soft night guard for the lower teeth and using just energy to take away, a very non-invasive technique where there's no injections, no medications, just using energy. You asked me about a message, kindness. I want to specify kindness is very important. If there was more kindness in the world, it would be a much happier place.
You are so spot on with everything you said. And with that, we are officially out of time. Thank you so much for coming on. We are so incredibly honored to have you here and to listen to you speak and to even guide us in our own little segment. But you are fantastic, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. So I thank you because you are a beacon of happiness. You radiate positive energy.
Thank you, my friend. That was the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut. That was the very only Renaissance man, Jeffrey Gurian, doctor, author, speaker, and comedian. Definitely check him out online at jeffreygurian.com and on the gram at Jeffrey Gurian. And currently, he's hosting an incredible workshop at the Omega Institute. You have to head to omega.org to register for this incredible spiritual weekend, Healing Your Heart with Humor retreat. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Do you have the dream of starting and owning your own business or know of someone who does? If so, check out Your Home Business program, where they inspire, equip, and encourage those who dream of owning and operating their own business. Check out Your Home Business on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in the Discover Your Potential segment, brought to you by Keep the Past, we're joined by our regular contributor and co-host, Anna Devere, and today she is joined by Kara Peterson, the co-founder of descrybe.ai. It's a justice tech startup based in Boston. Co-founding the company with her husband, Richard DeBona, back in 2023, they aim to leverage AI to help democratize access to the law and to address the justice crisis in the U.S. Now, in addition to being a justice tech entrepreneur, Kara is also a marketing communications executive who focuses on organizations with a social justice focus and a recognized voice on using AI technology for good. They join me today to chat all about how descrybe.ai is improving access to the law, working to close the justice gap, and the importance of using AI technology responsibly. Welcoming now to the show are my superstars at hand, Anna Devere and Kara Peterson. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Kara.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's dive right in. So, Kara, let's talk about the inception of your platform, descrybe.ai. Take us back to why you and your husband decided you needed to be part of the solution for the immense gap in the legal justice system.
That's a great question. So back in the days of COVID, we were home and like everyone else, and we ourselves had a legal issue that we wanted to understand a little bit better. And like many people, we don't think about the law until we have to, right? It's not something you're thinking about every day unless you're an attorney. And so we quickly discovered how hard it was as just an average person to be able to access the case law that we wanted to understand to apply to our own situation. So it was really a situation where we just wanted more information and found it really difficult to find. That said, we are pretty privileged. Both college educated, have family and friends who are lawyers, live in Boston area, which is a great community. And it was really hard for us. So when we thought about it and we really had this moment of, wow, if it's this hard for us, how hard it must be for people who have less access.
Wow, it comes full circle. So what you've built here it's quite innovative, and I love that not only have you found a way to implement artificial intelligence in a rather straightforward and easy to use program, but it's also serving, like you said, an underserved population of people who are affected by the justice gap. Now, I know according to the latest LSG Justice Gap report, 92% of low-income Americans did not receive any or enough legal help or nearly 3/4 of low-income households experienced at least one civil legal problem in the previous year. So I love that describe.ai is completely free and offers clear summarizations. So this is really accessible for the average person in need of legal help. It's fantastic. Now, I know Anna also has some questions, so I'll hand it off to her, but you're off to a great start, Kara.
Thank you.
Yeah, and let's just say it's no mean feat, because you actually ended up using AI to summarize like 3.3 million case outcomes. So let me ask you in like layman's terms, can you give us a little bit about the user experience? How does that work? Or give us an example of what people coming to your platform would experience.
Great. One thing I should say is that we are a legal information platform. There are other types of AI platforms that provide legal advice, which is great, but that's not what we do. So our area is, let's imagine you're faced with some kind of legal predicament, or just something you want to know, or something you're happening to a friend or a family member, and you just want to get a sense of what the current law is. So what we have done is summarize this. You mentioned 3.3 million judicial opinions from state and federal courts across the United States. And those are essentially the law, right? And that's your law, that's my law, that's everyone's listening to this podcast law, because it is the American law. So the idea that you can't access it, or it's so difficult to access, really isn't in the spirit of how the law should be delivered. So what you can do on our platform is you can go in, as you mentioned, it's free. There's no sign up. We don't track you, none of those things. And you can just ask a question in natural English. And what it will do is give you case law that the AI system has found relevant to your situation. Now, that's great. It's great information. It makes you feel like you have some agency. It's not going to tell you exactly what to do, but it's going to give you a great head start for maybe when you're going to engage with a lawyer later on.
That's amazing.
You are clearly a recognized voice for responsible artificial intelligence, and I emphasize the word responsible and using AI for good, which is an aspect that's too often overlooked because the technology is continuing to grow and people are a little bit apprehensive. In fact, in a Pew Research survey conducted last year, 70% of respondents familiar with AI said they had very little or no trust at all in companies to use AI responsibly. So it's important to not only acknowledge the power of AI, but also the ethics and how to implement it responsibly. Now, you're an expert in this manner and an active member of several women in AI and women in legal tech groups across the US, not to mention you recently received an award from the American Bar Association as a Woman of Legal Tech 2024. Congratulations. Can you tell us a little bit more about your journey with AI technology? And did you have any idea that your journey would bring you here?
Absolutely none, which is really fun. And this is sort of what speaks to the moment we're at with AI, that the sky's the limit, really. If you can dream it, you can do it. Pretty much. It's an incredible moment in time. But yeah, AI is opening the door for so many people to do things that are important to them and that they're passionate about. So like I was saying, this situation with us, it just opened the door to perhaps solving a problem instead of actually just sitting around being upset about it or feeling bad about it. It's giving agency to people to kind of get into things that they've maybe always been interested in. And your point about AI and ethics is probably the most important thing that I would ask people listening think about, because we're not always so good in this society at taking technology or developments and making sure that the benefits are spread across people of all types. We tend to favor the approach that creates some unicorns and some very wealthy individuals and people that really get all the benefits. But with AI, if we do that, it's going to be the biggest wasted opportunity of a generation. So what I advocate for is any one of us, all of you on the show, all of the people listening to the show, that we are in charge right now of this decision, and that we can demand that AI be used to help all people and not just the people who have access to the most resources. So I think that's the most fundamental point, is that people need to make noise about that and insist that this be a moment where we use this new technology for good. And to tell you the truth, the women of AI are going to be the ones who make that happen.
Amen.
And I want to echo that and just put a big amen on the end of it and say, everybody belongs at this table of thought leadership. So I applaud you for carving this path. But for anybody listening who doesn't think they belong in this conversation about artificial intelligence, what advice would you give for people who might be feeling some imposter syndrome if you're not feeling tech savvy out there?
Yeah, I've gone through my own journey of imposter syndrome, and people, out there may be thinking, "Oh, geez, she must really know what she's talking about and feel confident every time she walks into a room." No, that's not how it works, right? So you grow and you learn and you get stronger, but we all have imposter syndrome, and that's okay. And let me tell you the little secret. Everyone has imposter syndrome right now in AI because nobody really knows. Nobody knows. So if your imposter syndrome is giving you a hassle, sit down with it, have a conversation, tell it to take a long walk off a short pier and that it's not needed because we all are working on this together. And it's important to come and ask questions, even if they feel like questions that you should know or that you're embarrassed to ask. Don't be. And if you're listening to this, you are part of the conversation. You're already at the table. And I encourage you to learn more, to dive in, and to not be intimidated.
Now let's chat a bit about the legal tech space. I'm very interested in this. So the market size for legal tech is estimated to be worth at close to $30 billion as of this year, and it's projected to grow to a whooping $68 billion in a decade from now by the year 2034. So Kara, from your inside perspective, I'd love if you could tell us a little bit more about the unique network in the legal tech space, especially as a woman.
Right. This is the most amazing ecosystem I've ever been in. And I've been in different types of industries. My legal tech experience is all of, a little more than a year, but this is the best ecosystem I've ever been in, maybe second only to public health, because public health people are pretty awesome too. But I would say that the women in this environment, in this community, are incredibly collaborative. We look out for each other. We work together. We lift each other up. We help each other. I'm sure there's some layers of competition out there, but I haven't seen them. We're incredibly collaborative. And, as with many other areas of startup world, the funding is very, very low for female founders compared to male founders. So, we do look out for each other. We look out for manels. We make sure that organizations are not making those mistakes and that we insert ourselves where we need to. Of course, in legal overall, I'm learning from my friends and colleagues in the community, legal's got a pretty bad reputation with sort of being a sexist kind of glass ceiling environment. So there's a lot of work to do, but it's a very healthy ecosystem for women. And legal tech in general is just a really interesting space. I'm sure you have some attorneys out there listening and they know how fast things are changing. But there is so much unmet need. As we're talking about the access to justice crisis, you can look at it from one side where you say, well, that's really unfair. And it's really not the way we want our democracy to run, to have all these people that aren't able to access legal services when they need them, because that's just bad and has bad outcomes for everyone, not just the people affected. But then if you look at it from the other side, from a capitalist market sort of perspective, there's so much latent need out there that isn't being met, that's actually an incredible opportunity for entrepreneurs. So there's a really nice mix in this field of opportunity, camaraderie, and just sort of the ability to do good.
I know we're running short on time, but I just have to ask this burning question. You're very lucky to be in this space with this collaborative spirit, but you're also in the unique position to have a startup with your husband. That can't be too easy. That has to be challenging in itself.
Yeah. Well, okay. I have to do one dumb joke. So I'm the marketing side of things and he's the tech. And his favorite joke to tell is that it's every marketer's dream to have their IT person on call 24 hours a day. And that's actually true. Anyone who's in marketing knows that's true. But yeah, it's challenging. It's fun. But I would say the best part about it is that when you're co-founder and you share basically ethics or outcomes in mind, you don't have to argue about those things or have those conversations. So he and I share, the same sort of vision of what we want this to be and what we want it to do. We want to be a profitable company. We're not a nonprofit, but we also want to make sure that what we're doing is putting good back into the world, in a world that really needs it. So he and I agree on that. And that's very lucky.
Beautiful.
Well, I'm glad you found your life partner and your business partner all rolled up in one. That can make life extremely, extremely firecracky. But
Yes.
now looking to the future, what's on the horizon for you and this incredible platform? And if you can give us a little hint about what you're excited about in terms of future plans, that would be great.
Well, yes, definitely. Thank you. And the first year, we've only been around a year, which is hard to even believe with all the things that have happened. So I almost shudder to think in a good way of what's coming this next year. I'm very excited about it. But we have now this incredible data set. And so what we're doing is we're building with that data set to increase the utility of it for different types of people. I can't give an exact a product announcement, but something's coming in the next few weeks and months that will be pretty innovative and will end up serving a whole entire population that is currently even worse served than just the general population. So some very exciting things coming and really continuing our role as disruptors. Legal tech is a very sort of monolithic environment in some ways where, things haven't been challenged or changed for decades. So we continue to play the role of agitator and innovator and are having a great time with that.
Fantastic. How can people stay in touch with you? I love having a front row seat, but how do people connect with you?
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the biggest areas where people are hanging out and talking about legal tech is actually on LinkedIn, which is pretty cool. LinkedIn has got this second life, coming with all of this kind of connection. So I would say find us on LinkedIn if you can. If you're not on LinkedIn, always check out our website. We have a newsletter you can sign up for. And of course, the usual social media channels. You will find us right there.
Wow, you are onto something. And especially if you could figure out how to serve those billion unbanked or underbanked individuals who all have access to a smartphone, you've tapped into a new market that you're already probably serving. But I think what you have is fantastic, and your service and your platform is really going to revolutionize the way people are accessing information in the legal space.
Thank you so much. It's just been such a pleasure. I really appreciate being on the show.
Absolutely. That was Discover Your Potential segment brought to you by Keep the Past, and that was the incredible Kara Peterson. Definitely head to descrybe.ai. It's describe with a Y, and learn more. Instantly search more than 3.3 million summarized judicial opinions with the power of artificial intelligence. And of course, you can see more of our incredible Anna at discoveryourpotentialshow.com and follow Kara on the gram at describe.ai handle. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
The Kelly Williams Show is brought to you by Serendipity Yacht Cruises and Events. Tune in and turn on your happy. Kelly Williams is full of energy and incredible guests. Watch her anytime, free programming on Your Home TV network, and do follow her on social media for a chance to win monthly prizes. Check out The Kelly Williams Show on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2Lift. CO2Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance.
For more information or to order CO2Lift, ask your skincare professional or go to CO2Lift.com.
Welcome back, my amazing tri-state area friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2Lift, we're taking you on one wild ride behind the scenes of New York Fashion Week at the Dennis Basso runway show. We're going to be chatting with two models, Ashley and Heather, and we're going to hear what they have to say about CO2Lift and how they incorporated it into their beauty routines to keep their skin looking flawless on that runway. Are you ready? Let's head down to the Dennis Basso fashion show. Follow me. It's New York Fashion Week, baby, and everything has turned up the heat, including CEO of Miss Skincare, Lana Kerr. Check this outfit here. Oh my goodness, she is the prize. Now, she has prepped all the models with CO2Lift. Their skin is glowing. We're going to take you behind the scenes so you could firsthand see at the glowing beauty in that room. The models are going to be walking the catwalk and they're going to be glowing all because of CO2Lift. Now, Lana, how proud are you that CO2Lift is behind the scenes and the models are prepping their skin with your product?
I love it. I love it. Well, I think people recognize that even with makeup, the foundation skin matters. And especially for events, models, they want to shine, and this is the best way to do it. Because CO2Lift, one of the big things it's doing, Zen, as you know, is bringing hydration to the skin, which is what's going to give you that glow. And it's going to last. So it's not just a day, it's just not for the day, but it lasts for about 7 days with just one application. And if you do it on a regular basis, then you can just do it once a month and you'll maintain that skin quality.
So tell me, what's your secret? How many treatments did you do prior to coming here this week? I know there was a lot of travel involved, a lot of dehydrated skin. So what was your skincare routine leading up to this event?
Well, you know, I do a CO2Lift at least once a week. I mean, I do travel a lot, and I flew in from Florida yesterday, so I did one last night for this event, just because every time I travel, I still do it the night of or the next day before I go to an event.
Okay, I'm so excited to see the incredible collection. Follow us as we take you behind the scenes and look out for the glowing skin. It's all because of CO2Lift. Let's go. Today we're talking with the beautiful, the incredible Heather. She's one of the models that just walked the show, and I can't help but notice her glowing skin. So I have to stop, pull her off the runway, and ask her what her beauty hacks are. Are you ready to share?
I'm ready to share my secret. I usually don't, but I'm gonna share it with you and everybody today.
So excited. So tell me, what was your preparation skincare-wise before this big event?
So before I made this discovery, which I'm going to tell you about, I used to go and get multiple facials, do the geisha rolling, but now I do one simple thing. I do the CO2Lift Pro Mask, which it only takes 45 minutes to stay on, do a little meditation, and the next day I get the same lifting effect, I get the same glow effect, it brightens my skin, so it does everything all at once, and that's all I need is the CO2Lift Pro Mask.
And what did it feel when you put it on your skin?
My skin was just drinking the moisture. It felt like I just got injected with moisture and wonderful.
And a cooling sensation as well, right? And studies have shown that this mask particularly increases hydration by 117% and even helps in hyperpigmentation and scarring. So I love it. I use it all around. Well, you look fabulous. Are you going to continue to be using this product?
Absolutely.
Well, it's her hack. Now we know.
It's all I need is the CO2Lift mask. That's it.
What are your beauty hacks, my dear?
Okay, well, my secret is the CO2Lift. I've been using it now for about a month. I try to use it once a week, and the more I use it, the more it makes my face glow and shine. And it's extremely important to use it before a big shoot or before the runway because it makes my skin just feel like glass so that the makeup artist has a flawless application and I can really radiate and glow on the runway.
And it's so important to keep model skin hydrated. You have a lot of lights, you have a lot of stress on your skin, a lot of product on your skin. What's your routine like after a show like this?
After a show like this, I'll be sure I do a good exfoliation. And I will take like a lot of moisture again. And what the great thing about the CO2Lift is it allows my normal products just to really enhance those products that I use on a day-to-day basis.
She's so smart. Exactly. Combo therapy. It's all about combining the right products together, and CO2Lift enhances, brings out the best in all products, and more importantly, it enhances your circulation and your hydration by 117%. You definitely want to check out this mask. This entire fashion show, there was beautiful skin, and I can't help but now realized that CO2Lift Pro Mask was behind it all. We're here with Dr. Natasha Mesinkovska, who's a dermatologist all the way from California. Join me, friends, as now I'm going to ask her the most important skincare questions, because look how she's glowing. She must have done some secrets, and I want to know her hacks. So talk to me about how you prepped your skin before coming to this event. I know you've traveled, and I know that you're also, this is your field of expertise. So what are the secrets?
So I came all the way from California, and in California we have a lot of sun damage. So we do a little bit of laser. I still have 2 bruises. Thank, I guess, the company that makes that CO2 mask, because
I've heard of them. They're here behind the scenes. They prepped everyone's skin.
No, seriously, Lana, thank you so much for making it, because it put the fire down. So it's very important to moisturize and put a lot of sunscreen, and then whenever imperfections, just a lot of glitter and glow.
So CO2Lift is something that you use personally, but is it something that you incorporate in your practice?
Yes, post-procedure, we love it.
What is it most commonly used for in your specific practice?
Anytime when there's a little bit of inflammation and a little bit of irritation, even eczema, it does help to cool the skin down. I like things that are not invasive, not chemical, that kind of use your body's strength to motivate it to fix itself. So heal thyself, help me help you, sort of thing.
I've identified all the beauties in the room, and I came across one particularly incredibly striking, I thought was a model, but no, she's a rhythmic Olympian, and she competed in the Paris Olympics, and I had to ask her, what do you do to keep your skin looking flawless? Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Firstly, that was so many compliments. I'm flattered. But yeah, in rhythmic gymnastics, we're almost like models. When we compete, we have to do our hair and makeup. Our hair is always slicked back in a bun, so I like to use some mousse. That's my secret life hack for nice slick back hair. Mousse and then hairspray on top of that, because it's extra secure. And then because we're athletes, we're under bright lights, but we also have like a lot of heat going, so we sweat, right? And we also have to wear makeup on top of that. So skincare is super important. I like to make sure that I, wash my face with a cleanser. I really like using balm type of makeup remover, because I find that it's less harsh for your skin. And then I also like to moisturize, and I always make sure that I moisturize my skin before I put my makeup on. It's also another little life hack I find, because it makes your foundation concealer go on smoother.
Wow, I love this routine, and it's all about hydration, right? The most important thing. So we're at New York Fashion Week at the Dennis Basso fashion show event, and this beauty not only caught my attention, but her skin is glowing clearly, and there's something to have. There's something to say for glowing skin, especially if you are a rhythmic gymnast, and I know that you have to endure a lot of makeup, a lot of heavy lights. Probably is not that easy on your skin. So what is your next move right now? What are you competing?
Yes, I am. So right now it's a little bit of the downtime after Paris, recovering, and then of course starting the training sessions back up and preparing for LA 2028.
LA 2028, we're going to be looking out for her. Thank you so much for joining us, and we are going to send you a whole bunch of CO2 products. I can't wait for you to try them. You're definitely going to love the difference. It hydrates your skin, it will boost elasticity, and it has this great cooling sensation, and when you peel it off, your skin is literally glowing. Can't wait for you to try it, and you're going to give us feedback.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, this is Zen Sam's, your favorite iHeartRadio host from 710 WOR, the voice of New York iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this, and make sure to follow her on the gram. Tell us your handle.
Yes, it's at Evita.Griskenas, spelled EVITA.GRISKENAS, and is just my name.
That was our Going Deep segment, brought to you by CO2Lift. Thank you so much to our incredible models, Ashley and Heather, for chatting with me. You can check them out directly on the gram at Ashley, VASICEK, and Heather Aboff, Heather_ABOFF. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2Lift. CO2Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance.
For more information or to order CO2Lift, ask your skincare professional or go to CO2Lift.com.
Hi, I'm Sarah Katz with this week's Express Beauty segment for A Moment of Zen. Have you seen what's going on in the news lately? Well, unfortunately, there have been cases of counterfeit Botox, resulting in people being hospitalized for adverse events. So what happened? In about 9 states, more than 15 people experienced really scary side effects from Botox. Some people were even hospitalized for not being able to swallow, difficulty breathing, difficulty holding their head up, blurred vision, slurred speech. Well, how did this happen? Unfortunately, there are unlicensed medical professionals out there performing these procedures in non-medical facilities using counterfeit Botox. So how do you know if you're receiving fake Botox? What can you do to advocate for your own safety? Fortunately, there are ways to safeguard against these side effects. Always make sure you're going to a licensed medical professional. Make sure you're being seen in a medical setting. Always check that that provider has been properly trained and is even able to be found on the Allergan website if they're performing Botox. And you can also even investigate or check out the bottles. You should be able to ask your provider to see the bottle and make sure that some authentic characteristics exist on that bottle. There should be holograms. It should be administered in doses that are normal for the way that that product is produced. It should not say Botox type A. It should say onabotulinum toxin, right? So these are definitely characteristics you can look up on the FDA website so you can be an educated consumer. And unfortunately, even though these side effects can still happen, even with a licensed medical professional, they are very, very, very rare. And if you go to someone who knows what they're doing, who's experienced, your experience should be safe and a happy one. So know before you go and always advocate for your safety. This is Sari Katz for today's Express Beauty segment on A Moment of Zen.
A Moment of Zen is sponsored by FinTech TV.
FinTech TV, the newest streaming channel focused exclusively on the business of blockchain, digital assets, and sustainability. Broadcasting from our studio on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange with daily reports from NASDAQ, global expansion, and 24/7 coverage. Become part of the launch. Head to fintech.tv/invest. Fintech.tv/invest.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Also remember that we're live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, YouTube Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And of course, all of our episodes are available on Your Home TV and Kathy Ireland worldwide streaming platform. You could head directly to our channel at mox.yourhometv.com. It's free programming to you. Thank you for listening to A Moment of Zen. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors that continue to make this show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it. We'll be back next week.